Good day. It's really a great pleasure and privilege for me to be speaking today at the seventh edition of the Global Technology Summit organized by Carnegie India. This summit is being held on the eve of India taking over the G20 presidency on December 1st. And therefore, it's a very fitting and appropriate discussion to be having. In particular, one of the highlights of India's role in the world today, which will also presumably be discussed at the G20 over the course of the 1 year, is the unique approach that India has taken to digital public goods and the digital public infrastructure underpinning that. Over the next few minutes, I'd like to briefly talk about what I see as has happened and what will be coming down the road. India has led the world in creating population scale digital public goods where everyone in the country can be in the digital economy. It began with Aadhaar, a project which started in 2009, and I was the founding chairman of the Unique Identification Authority of India, which did this project. By the time I stepped down from the government in 2014, 600 million Indians had a digital ID. And subsequently, with the great sponsorship of Prime Minister Modi and his government, today 1.3 billion Indians have a digital ID. What is interesting is that this is an online ID which can be used anywhere to authenticate a person through biometrics or through an OTP. And it does over 50 million authentications a day, which means at least 50 million times somebody is using the ID to verify their credentials. It also has the ability to do an electronic KYC, which allows you to open a bank account or get a mobile connection in a matter of minutes. And this has been put to great use, both in financial inclusion as well as in mobile inclusion. Another important aspect of the Aadhaar project was its connection to the banking system, whether it's the ability to open a bank account with eKYC, receive money in a bank account using the Aadhaar payment bridge, or withdrawing money from a bank account using the Aadhaar-enabled payment system. And this infrastructure has created the world's largest direct benefit transfer system with a cumulative of over $210 billion being credited to people's bank accounts and with over 1 billion beneficiary transactions. This system was extremely useful during the pandemic, as hundreds of millions of people had to get emergency financial support due to their dislocation and going back to the village and their incomes stopping. And DBT was a great help in addressing the vulnerable. And in fact, the way India dealt with making sure that the vulnerable got emergency financial support was a role model which made people realize the importance of having such population scale digital infrastructure. Another important part of this has been the democratization of payments. NPCI, the National Payment Corporation of India, where I'm an advisor on innovation and public policy, over the last 9 years from concept in 2013 to launch in 2016, has built a very advanced peer-to-peer payment system where you can send money in real time from any bank account to any bank account, from any app to any app, and all of it happens seamlessly in the background, so that we call this as a four-party transaction. It's a very flexible payment system. It's completely interoperable, and it is at zero cost. It has billions of small transactions. In the month of October, UPI did 7.3 billion transactions. over $1 trillion a year of transactions, and it has now more than 50 million merchants which accept UPI transactions with a single interoperable QR code, and more than 250 to 260 million users of UPI. And therefore, the combination of UPI on smartphones, UPI on feature phones, what's called UPI 123, offline UPI, which is called UPI Lite, and Aadhaar-enabled payment system for people who don't have a phone but do have a bank account and Aadhaar, has essentially created an inclusive digital payment system for the whole country. Now, beyond this, many other systems have been built over the last 10 years. Aadhaar-based digital signature allows you to sign any document online on your phone with Aadhaar. The DigiLocker system that's set up by the government today has more than 130 million people who store their vaccination certificates, their Aadhaar details, their driver's license, and so on, online in the cloud in a DigiLocker. It's very useful when you go through airports or anywhere where you have to show a document. And FASTag, which generates billions of dollars of revenue for the government, has changed the whole nature of collection of tolls at our highways and brought in more transparency, more realization, and more efficiency, as the time spent per vehicle at each toll point is much less. So these are all things that have had a transformational impact on India. But there are three big things coming today, which will, over the next decade, have even more of an impact. The first is ONDC, Open Network for Digital Commerce, which will allow e-commerce to be disaggregated for millions of small suppliers to sell on the ONDC network, for millions of small retailers to participate as small sellers on the platform, to really turbocharge hyperlocal commerce and make e-commerce much more inclusive. And the ONDC is off to a very quick start under the leadership of Mr. Piyush Goyal and the CEO, Mr. Koshi. And then we have the account aggregator network, which again is a fundamentally different idea, that data should ultimately be used by people who generate the data. And therefore, individuals and small businesses can use the data to get access to multiple services like credit and so forth. So the account aggregator system is also the basis for India's data empowerment architecture. It has a unique institution called the consent manager, which has been mentioned as a separate category in the recent data privacy bill. And consent managers on your behalf get your data from different providers and give it to different users for different benefits. For example, in the financial system, a small business can use his consent manager, get his GST details from the GST system, which has just been notified by RBI, get his or her bank statement from the bank, get tax returns from the income tax system, and give it in a secure manner to a lender who can then take a decision to give the person credit. And this is fundamentally going to democratize lending and other financial services. So the second thing is account aggregator. The third thing is the transformation happening in logistics. In logistics, we have transformation due to government initiative. GST, FASTag, e-way bill has all simplified the movement of goods. Highways have become much better for fast movement. We have many plans under the to build multimodal parks and so on, all of which will help in reducing logistics costs. And then we have a wide variety of startup innovators, be it in local delivery, intercity delivery, and so on, all of which are going to change the movement of goods. So essentially, what is happening is the combination of ONDC with account aggregator, logistics infrastructure, and UPI has created a stack which will allow small companies and small businesses to produce what they produce, market it online, get paid for it online, get credit to grow the business, and have it delivered through delivery companies. This is the holy grail of how an economy expands. So fundamentally, what's happening in India is not just some technology, but a new paradigm of growth, a new paradigm of growth enabled by good use of digital technology, not in a way for aggregation of data for advertising or social media, but in a way that individuals and small businesses can use their digital footprint to get benefits for themselves. This is also an inclusive model because everyone who has an Aadhaar number can participate in this system. Today, we have 700 million new people who open bank accounts in the Jan Dhan program. It allows small businesses to participate by using their tax details and their invoice details to get credit. So we have an inclusive architecture where millions of individuals and thousands and millions of small businesses can participate. And as those small businesses get access to capital and markets and grow, they in turn can create jobs. So we have actually laid the foundation for a digitally imagined job creation platform, leveraging ONDC, UPI, account aggregator, and logistics. And this is really creating a new model of growth. So I think when you think about India's radical experiments and radical innovation in digital infrastructure, keep in mind that it's not just a way of doing technology, but it's a way of both creating a safety net for people who are vulnerable, at the same time creating the ladders of aspiration that allows individual and small businesses to improve their lives, which is why I believe in the next 10 years, India is going to see significant economic activity, which is broad-based, inclusive, and democratized. With that, I have come to the end of my talk. I wish you all the best for this 7th edition of the Global Technology Summit organized by Carnegie India. Thank you and have a great day.